Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 225 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of January 10th through the 16th. My name's Tim Beeman, and I'm opening the recipe trunk. I'm recording this episode of the Man Who Ate the Town at the Les Desirable Studios in the Lab at Industry Hill. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcatchers like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anything like that, we'd appreciate a like, a follow, a rating. It would all help us tremendously. And if you're listening to us on the Triad Podcast Network, welcome and thank you. This episode of The Man Who Ate the Town is brought to you by Diamondback Grill. It is casual dining located in the heart of Buena Vista in Winston-Salem. It is a fantastic family-owned farm-to-fork restaurant that sources most of its ingredients from local farmers, and the ambiance is always amazing. This weekend, I had a porterhouse au pois on Saturday. It was perfectly cooked, as I like mine more rare. The calamari was also magnificent, perfectly fried, not too much and not underdone. I have sent several colleagues to Diamondback for their company dinners, meetings, and family outings. They are really that awesome. Diamondback Grill is at 751 Avalon Road. Find them on the web at diamondbackgrill.com and on Facebook and Instagram. To make reservations, call 336-722-0006 and, of course, tell them that I sent you. As I always say, we're starting the new year out the same way as we finished last year, even more. So now we are looking to get jobs in these restaurants, get people in them to get a job because they're there, they're available. Almost every single restaurant in town is hiring. So go get a job. Papa Lee's Grill is now closed. And that's sad, but I saw it coming a while back. Lee and I have become pretty good friends, and I've known for a little bit that it was going to happen, was just holding out hope, really, that he would change his mind. But it happened sometime, well, I know when it was. I was there the last day, but it happened the week between Christmas and New Year's. Lee said he's looking for a new place, and I know of at least one place that he was supposed to have a meeting with last week, but the snow on Monday threw that off, so he's supposed to have it this week. I hope he gets a place soon, and I hope that kicks up his food a little bit too. I think he has a lot to offer, but he's got to get the right spot, and with that, he has to get the right employees, which I know these days are hard. He's got to get food service right. He's got to get all that right. So, where he was not the spot he needed to be. And honestly, I don't know if anything should be there where he was on New Walkertown Road. That's a conversation to have at another time, perhaps with Lee and perhaps on this podcast. So I hope Papa Lee's gets open back up soon. Murphy's Lunch, their Facebook page still has no updates, but on their website, it says the grand reopening will be on March 1st, 2022. But it also says that it was that's an approximate date. Even if it doesn't happen on that date, the fact that they are at least posting about it on their website, they need to update their Facebook page. But the fact that they're posting about it and preparing for it makes me feel a lot better. Murphy's Lunch has been downtown for a long time, and I'm sure Fan Brownlee and others could give us some history that would be very interesting to us all that love Winston-Salem or the downtown Winston-Salem so much. But yeah, so as of right now, the plan is March 1st, 2022, reopening Murphy's Lunch there on 3rd Street. BobbyBoy Bake Shop is set to reopen after the holidays tomorrow, January the 11th. I think Caviste will be reopening then as well. At least I hope so. I've missed them too. Missed both of them. Dom's is closed until this Friday, February January 14th for their dinner service. This is partly because of a COVID outbreak and partly because they are short-staffed and needed a break. District 924 now offers delivery. I have not seen if it's in-house or through a third-party delivery service like Uber Eats, DoorDash, or Grubhub. When you go to the website, it just asks if you want to pick up or have local delivery. So that's not really telling you anything. The bottom line is delivery is available to get your District 924 on. And I don't think they're open on Monday, so don't call to get your delivery today. Milner's has said that they're supposed to open tomorrow after being closed temporarily for renovations. I haven't seen or heard if that is still happening. I am assuming that it will happen because it's like I said, it was on their website. I don't know if I said that, but it's on their website, not on their Facebook page. That, again, people have a hard time understanding that Facebook, even though it's a trash platform for social working, it is very important for people who are looking for information. Yes, you can Google it, but websites aren't any more updated usually than Facebook. So at least with Facebook, it's ever changing website. You have to wait for an update, or you have to wait. You have to take time to make it. So on their website it says renovations through the 10th, which is today. Providence Culinary Training, which my son took part of in a few years back, will be holding their online-only graduation for the current class or classes. You can check out their website, providencews.org, to find out more. Everyone is welcome to tune in to watch the ceremony. I'm supposed to meet with Gabe Higgins over at Roar this Wednesday to get a walkthrough to see how Roar will transform the entertainment district of downtown Winston-Salem. I'll report back on that later. Vida food truck announced that they are going to have to raise their prices. Any of us who pay attention to local food costs, whether we're looking at grocery store costs or other food items, we know that prices are indeed going up and not coming down. This means that we understand, or at least should understand, what costs are not exclusive to customers and providers as well. So I expect periodic increases in costs at restaurants all the time, not just during the pandemic. Food trucks are not immune to this either. They have a whole other world of overhead they have to go through. So the prices on the food items went up January 1st for Vida food truck, and they will also have to charge for extra containers of their signature sauces as well. We are all in this together, y'all. Take it easy on them, okay? And I suppose you all saw the Coffee Park Airstream suffered a big structural hit this past week. Not the trailer, thank goodness, but the old service station building that is their office and storage and stuff. It seems a drunk driver lost control of their car, went airborne, and crashed through the corner of the building. It happened around 2 a.m. in the morning, so luckily no one was in the area to have gotten hurt. The car was still in the parking lot, and there are several pictures on the interwebs about it. Tommy Priest, owner of Coffee Park, says, don't drink and drive. Seriously, y'all. Don't drink and drive. Go by and buy a cup of joe from Coffee Park. Make them feel better. Eat Drink Restaurant Week is coming soon. Dates have changed. When I find out more information, I'm supposed to meet with them this week. I will let you know. Check out Explore Winston-Salem, an Instagram-based business to tell you all the cool and groovy things happening in our hometown. They're on Instagram as Explore Winston-Salem, on the web at explorewinstonNC.com. Christy Bellis is all over it. So let's talk a second about Country Spinner. There's still no Yemeni food yet with all the football season stuff, which is just a few weeks away from being over. I plan on going back to the Country Spinner, so stay tuned for that. And let's talk burgers. I know I promised the list would be announced in December, but life got in the way and vacation time and I just didn't want to. So I will have the list in the next 2 weeks, if not sooner. The food holidays are sponsored by Mojito Latin Soul Food, your go-to Cuban and Latin-inspired restaurant. You need to go by and have what I have called my favorite sandwich in town, the Cubano sandwich. If that's not your thing, try the ceviche or pork belly appetizers, and try their grilled or fried chicken. I think you'll dig it. Have the congri, which is yellow rice and beans with pork belly. All delicious stuff. Mojito Latin Soul Food does reservations. They do takeout. They do. They have a rather large outdoor patio, and yes, right now it's a bit chilly, but some days it's warmer. And if you just want to sit outside and have a breeze, then do it. And deliveries are also to surrounding businesses like Fiddle and Fish, Broad Branch Distillery, Wise Man when they're not doing their own food truck, and probably a couple of other things right around the area. Today is the 10th of January. It's National Oysters Rockefeller Day, which is, of course, oysters on half shell that have been topped with a rich sauce of butter, parsley, and other green herbs and breadcrumbs. Then it's baked or broiled. I prefer mine just raw the way they are, but it's not bad. It's also Bittersweet Chocolate Day. Hat tip to Ray Morgan. In 1839, on the 10th, Indian tea becomes available in Britain for the first time. Up until this time, only tea from China had been available, which was very, very expensive. The development and import of Indian tea brought the price down so all could afford it, and it quickly became the national drink. In 1863, London's Metropolitan, the first underground passenger railroad, opened to the public at 6 a.m. It went on until 1933. This was the precursor to the London Underground, and many of the tube routes used the actual railways left over from the Met. It's really not food related, but I am such an Anglophile, I had to include that. In 1899, David Missel was issued a U.S. patent for the first battery-operated flashlight. And on this date in 1984, Wendy's Where's the Beef ad began. Burgers were not just for kids anymore. On the 11th, it's Milk Day. I'll tell you why in a second. It's also Hot Toddy Day, which is usually whiskey, hot water, and honey. It's really good if you're having a sore throat or a cold or probably even the dreaded C word. In 1878 in Brooklyn, New York, milk was supposedly delivered to homes in glass bottles for the first time rather than being ladled from metal cans. So that's why it's Milk Day. On the 11th in 1949, the first recorded snowfall in Los Angeles happened. In 1963, the Whiskey A Go-Go opened in Los Angeles, the first disco in the U.S. In 1964, U.S. Surgeon General Luther Terry issued a proclamation. I guess it was the first government report saying that cigarettes cause lung cancer. In 2010, Dutch brewer Heineken acquired all of FEMSA's Mexican beer operations, which include Dos Equis, Sol, and Tecate brands. And it is still part of what is called Heineken Mexico. I can't pronounce the Spanish word for it. On the 12th, it's National Marzipan Day. It's National Curried Chicken Day. And it's National Hot Tea Day. In 1943, due to wartime meat shortages, the U.S. Office of Price Administration announced that Frankfurters would be replaced by Victory sausages made of meat and soybean meal or other substitutes. I'll pass, thanks. I can't do Beyond or Impossible Burgers because I don't want substitute for my food. I want real food. And on the 13th, it's National Peach Melba Day, which is a dessert of peaches and raspberry sauce with vanilla ice cream. And it's National Gluten-Free Day, which, no. On the 13th of 1949, to protect its dairy industry, Prince Edward Island, Canada, bans the sale or manufacture of margarine, which should be not to protect the dairy industry, but to protect people's arteries. In 1915, In 2002, U.S. President George W. Bush fainted after choking on a pretzel while watching a football game in the White House. On the 14th, it's National Hot Pastrami Sandwich Day. And in 1814, on the 14th, the last London Frost Fair on the frozen Thames River happened. It was entertainment and a large selection of food vendors on ice. On the 15th, National Strawberry Ice Cream Day and National Bagel Day. There's plenty of bagel shops around town. Go grab one. I'm sure it doesn't live up to the New York stuff that New Yorkers seem to think is superior. I've never had one, so I have no, I'm from New York anyway, so I have no opinions about it. But there's still good bagels around town. Go have one. On the 15th in 1895, Lever Brothers registered the Lifebuoy trademark, and I can't see Lifebuoy without thinking of A Christmas Story. In 1915, John Van Warmer was granted a patent for his Pure Pack, which was a paper bottle used for holding milk. It would be 10 years before a machine was perfected to make those containers, but he had the patent. In 1919, on the 15th, the Great Molasses Flood happened. A 50-foot-high storage tank in Boston burst and sent a tidal wave of over 2 million gallons of molasses traveling at over 30 miles per hour towards town. Houses, buildings, and parts of the elevated rail system were crushed in its path. 21 people died, and over 150 were injured. It took over 6 months to clean up the mess. The damage was in the millions of dollars, which for 1919 was a lot. On the 15th in 1967, the first Super Bowl was played. The Green Bay Packers of the National Football League beat the Kansas City Chiefs of the American Football League 35-10. It was called actually the AFL-NFL World Championship game, renamed Super Bowl when they went back 2 years, but it was first actually called the Super Bowl in 1969. I believe that was that the Jets and the Colts, I think. In 1986, on the 15th, Pop Secret microwave popcorn was introduced by General Mills. In 1990, on the 15th, Campbell's Soup produces its 20 billionth can of tomato soup. On the 16th, it's National Fig Newton Day, National Quinoa Day, International Hot and Spicy Food Day. In 1769, a riot occurred at the Haymarket Theatre in London when a magician did not show up to perform. He had claimed that he would get into a quart tavern bottle and sing several songs, and he did not show up. In 1868, William Davis, a Detroit, Michigan fish dealer, or I guess they're called fishmongers, received a patent for a refrigerator car, which was an icebox on wheels. He also designed the first refrigerated railway car. In 1894, on the 16th, Charles H. Phillips Chemical Company registered the Milk of Magnesia trademark. In 1920, Prohibition began in the United States, which banned the sale of all alcohol beverages. Gangsters, of course, flourished, and they were importing and producing bootlegged alcohol, and Americans drank more than ever. Prohibition was finally repealed in 1933, putting the end to the noble experiment. In 1945, Carl and Margaret Karcher opened Carl's Drive-In Barbecue Restaurant in Anaheim, California. The first Carl's Jr. restaurant opened in 1956, and it wasn't because it was Carl's son. It was a different restaurant, so it was Carl's Jr. In 2000, a truck carrying evaporated milk is driven into the state capitol building in Sacramento, California, killing the driver. That's your food holidays in history this week. Special thanks to James Ehler at foodreference.com for making us chuckle, roll our eyes. Be glad that I wasn't caught up in so much molasses, nor was I anywhere near the evaporated milk truck driving dude that slammed into the building in Sacramento. The Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables Podcast Network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, the Beer Dads, Fan Interference, Beeswax Vinyl Daily, Wheeler's Dog, Asylum Tales from the Devereaux Diary, Useless Things podcast, and coming in February, the Health Geeks Book Club podcast. If you like to know about healthy things but don't want to read those books, I don't. So then this podcast is for you. Even though they won't be on the network until February, you can still find them on your favorite podcatchers, anywhere you find podcasts. It's, again, Health Geeks Book Club podcast. You can find the others and even Health Geeks Book Club in February, but you can find all the other ones now on the network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com. You'll find all you need to know about our network of shows right there. This is a reminder to all the listeners, and it's good practice, not just now, but for always. Wash your damn hands. Wash with warm water and soap. Wash with that soap for 20 seconds or more if you don't know how long that is. Think about this in your head.
All is quiet on New Year's Day. The world is wild, it's underway. I want to be with you night and day. Nothing changes on New Year's Day.
So, New Year's Day was on U2's album War, their third album. This actually came out today. Not War, but the single was released on this day in 1983. So, there you go. So keep an eye on the blog and this podcast to find out more about the food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news, send us an email at tim@themanwhoatethetown.com. You can also contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter Instant Messengers. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are manwho8thetown. On Instagram, we are manwhoatethetown. We invite you to call and leave a voicemail for the podcast, actually any podcast on the TLD network. You can call 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422-NUM. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the podcast. Again, 336-422-NUM-6862. Well, my name is Tim, and I am closing the recipe trunk. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit. Yamas. The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the man who ate the town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.